I'm checking it out. I'm making sure the sound and the frame is okay. Hello, and thank you for joining me at the Quiet Riot, where I talk film, television, and media. I'm Ainsley, and in today's video, I'm talking about my all-time favorite Christmas movie.
It'll only take a picture be out in a year.
A year?
Oh, about a year.
You bring it out on Christmas?
No, I can't bring it out at Christmas. It's set at Christmas. Just bring it out at Christmas, then it's a Christmas movie.
What's wrong with the Christmas movie?
Well, because it's a Christmas movie, and then 2 weeks after Christmas, it's Christmas. That's old. It's better for summer, because in summer everybody's hot and sweltering, and they'd love to go see a picture that happened.
Thanks, Dante. Yes, I am talking about Gremlins, one of my favorite movies of all time. I have wanted to talk about this movie for a while, and I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do it personally, but I then decided to do something short and sweet and talk about how Gremlins showcases and reflects some of the problems and things that were happening in the early 80s at the time that this film was made. And I also go in a little bit about the things that were happening behind the scenes and what inspired this movie to be made. Now, I did mention in a clip that the Gremlins themselves would break down, but that was only Gizmo, as well as Gizmo being the only one that they used wires to control, and the other ones they were able to use those puppeteering sticks to make sure that they moved more. So I just wanted to make that little correction before we get into our discussion on how Gremlins reflects the time it was made. Thank you. Released in 1984 to glowing reviews from critics and audiences, Gremlins has since gone on to become a classic dark comedy, horror film, and Christmas movie. Directed by Joe Dante from a script by Chris Columbus and executive produced by Steven Spielberg, Gremlins was influential in Hollywood. From being the catalyst to creature features during the decade and the reason for a change in the rating system, Gremlins became more than just another Hollywood blockbuster. Reflecting the period it was made, Gremlins still inspires conversations and posts about how the movie mirrors the time that it was made. From Dick Miller's Murray Futterman complaining about foreign-made technology, to Polly Holliday's Ruby Deagle being the worst landlord in town, the film has managed to stand the test of time in some of the worst ways possible. Its entertainment value holds up in the best ways, all thanks to the comedy provided by Spike and his posse of gremlins, and the cutest Mogwai of them all, Gizmo. In search of the perfect gift for his son, struggling inventor Randall Peltzer secretly purchases a Mogwai after being refused by the store owner. He takes it home, telling his son the 3 rules that you must follow. Do not expose the Mogwai to light, especially sunlight, which will kill it. Do not let it come in contact with water, and above all, never feed it after midnight. Of course, things go horribly wrong, and the mischievous creatures wreak havoc on the small town. Chris Columbus was inspired to write the script after hearing sounds of what he thought were mice in the middle of the night. Thinking how creepy this was, he wrote a script to reflect it. The legend of Gremlins, that first originated in the Royal Air Force in the 1920s, was also an inspiration. Intended as a spec script, there was no intention for Gremlins to ever become a film. That was until it made it into the hands of Steven Spielberg, who liked how different it was from other films being made at the time. Spielberg purchased the script, but there was still changes to be made. See, the original script was much darker than the finished product. There were several scenes that were either cut entirely from the film or altered to tone down the darkness. One scene that was initially meant to be cut from the film after shooting was Phoebe Cates' monologue. Producers couldn't tell if the monologue was meant to be serious or comedic. While Spielberg initially wanted to cut the scene, Dante refused. Spielberg conceded, and the monologue was left in. This monologue and the more violent scenes in the film caused the MPAA to complain. In response, Spielberg said they should update the rating system, and 2 months later, the PG-13 rating was instated. Made with a budget of $11 million and released on June 8, 1984, Gremlins was a critical and commercial success, bringing in $212.9 million at the box office. Following its release, several other films featuring small creatures were released to capitalize off the success of Gremlins. This film was to small creature features what Halloween was to the slasher subgenre. Ghoulies, Troll, Hobgoblins, Critters, and Munchies are 5 films that were either inspired by or straight ripoffs of Gremlins. In 1990, a sequel to Gremlins was released. Gremlins: The New Batch was a parody of sequels and took on a more satirical tone. While the film was critical success, it was a box office bomb. It appears that the novelty of the original film had worn off. Had The New Batch been made sooner, it may have been more commercially successful. Though it has went on to have a cult following since its initial release, and it turns out there's actually a series coming out in 2023, and they're in talks to make a Gremlins 3. Dante originally wanted the Gremlins to be spider monkeys in a suit, but apparently the spider monkey that they had Chuck try on the hat did not enjoy himself and he ended up freaking out, and so he decided to go with designer Chris Wallace's idea, and that was to make the Gremlins animatronic puppets. He designed them, and due to certain restrictions, they decided to go for darker lighting, and this was apparently why the no bright lights rule was written in. The Gremlins were controlled by inserting various levers and switches into the puppet that the puppeteer would pull in order to get the Gremlins to move. Due to the puppet's small size, they kept breaking down. There was no CGI used in the film, and the animatronics each cost $30,000 to $40,000. The backdrop used for Kingston Falls would once again be used as the backdrop for Back to the Future, released in 1985. Dante insisted on filming on a studio lot to get the small town feel reminiscent of It's a Wonderful Life. Whether intention or not, scripts often tend to reflect either the times or the personal experiences of their writer. Directors will do the same. This is especially true in drama, sci-fi, and horror. I can't be sure why Columbus and Dante made certain choices, but I can assume that the setting and certain situations the characters were in were meant to reflect what was going on in the US at the time. At the time of the film's release, the world was experiencing financial difficulties, and the HIV/AIDS epidemic was on the rise. US President Ronald Reagan did nothing to help those who had contracted the virus, and he only hindered anything that could be done about the recession. The 80s were a time when the rich thrived and the poor struggled to survive. Gremlins reflects that, as the town in which it is set is reeling from the rise of consumerism and the failings of capitalism. There are several characters and moments that best reflect the US in the 1980s. Most notably, Ruby Deagle, who cares more about making money than her tenants. She confronts Billy about his dog, and before she does this, she cheats the line, and does so once again when she cuts the line in the bank. The banker and Judge Reinhold's character made their own choice by supporting her egregious behavior. Later, Reinhold's character doesn't understand why Kate would help out the owner of a bar who is struggling. In the mind of this guy, and the people like him, you only work for penance to benefit other people financially. You don't work for nothing as a form of charity. During the 1980s, there was both a fear of foreign-made items and an increase of foreign imports. This was due to the quantity over quality attitude and the need to save money to make money, a problem we still see today. Billy and Kate experience various obstacles throughout the film, starting before the Gremlins even enter the picture. They come from working class backgrounds and are struggling. This can be seen in their interactions with characters like Deagle and Gerald Hopkins. Billy's dog ruined Deagle's snowman, causing her to go full Wicked Witch on the poor guy. She's the richest woman in town, and she wants everyone to know that. That is what makes her powerful. Their biggest struggles are their run-ins with the police, who don't believe Billy when he tells them about the Gremlins, making for a frustrating couple of minutes until they witness Deagle being catapulted from her house. Of course, they wouldn't believe him right away. It would be silly for them to believe a screaming young adult who's terrified of an apparent invasion of the little Gremlins.
What is this? Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Coming to the end of the film, after the Gremlins have all been defeated, Mr. Wing comes to the Peltzer's home to retrieve Gizmo. He criticizes the family and Western society for their carelessness. As Gizmo bids farewell to Billy, Mr. Wing is touched by their bond. He says to Billy that he may be ready one day, and that Gizmo will be waiting.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this little video of mine. I really do appreciate it. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful holiday season, or whenever you're watching this, that you had a wonderful holiday season and that you're staying warm and cozy this winter, and that you had a happy Hanukkah and you're having a happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and that your winter solstice went well. This is definitely a crazy, difficult time of year for some people. We definitely always think of it as a joyous time, and we're not always completely honest with how difficult it can really be and really be on a lot of people. So I hope that you are taking care of yourself to the best of your abilities and that you have people that are there that you can talk to. Thanks again for taking the time out of your day to watch or listen to this video. Tell me your thoughts on Gremlins. What is your favorite Christmas movie? Do you consider Gremlins a Christmas movie or even a horror film? Please let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video and feel so inclined, give it a like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified every single time I post. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy your wonderful, beautiful, joyous day. Was that weird?